Hi Gemini, welcome to New Era. My name is Emma. Gemini, this is your love reading starting today on the 25th of June. And I'm incorporating the frequency of the number into the reading as a basis. It has worked out perfectly, beautifully. And so number 25 is all about, 2 is all about conversation, communication in relationships and relationships. And 5 is a change and life path. And then combined, 5 plus 2 equals 7. So 7 is some sort of completion, but it's not a completion that you want to move away from. It's a completion that you now want to enjoy. It's something that has led up to this place, and it's like something has come full circle, but let's now enjoy it. What you've worked on, what you crafted, what you put together, it's time for that reward. That's number 7. So let's see for your love reading specifically what's going on for you, Gemini, and I'm asking for the very near future. And I'm using the Archangel Power Tarot cards by Doreen Virtue. I just want to take the time and just say that due to this coronavirus pandemic, isolation, whatever you want to call it, it is a virus though, but I've been more on call than ever before, so I'm doing a lot of healing work. Not like I guess you could say that's my main job, that I do a lot of healing work for people, and it has been a lot of, just lately, like I don't know, it feels like there's an increase. It feels like it dies out, it dies down a bit, but it's also increased, like it's been heightened in the very last week or two. It's like it's slowly, you know, I'm not that busy, but then the last 1 or 2 weeks it has heightened. So what I'm trying to say with this is that I do these readings whenever I can. So that's why I probably should remove that you get the Gemini reading on, I think it's Monday or Tuesday now, and now today it's Thursday when I'm recording. So I do apologize that it's not coming the way that I said it was going to come. It just feels good though in the energy. It feels like we're in this shift where whatever reason it has been for you, like whatever the outcome has been for you to be in this pandemic, however that has played out in your life, I think that the shift, we're seeing the shift happen now. It's slowly starting to pick up pace in what we've asked for instead, if that makes sense. Okay, love reading for Gemini. Love reading, Gemini. Gemini, did you get my bird story? I put a bird story out for Capricorn last week, and the word Capricorn appeared in the Gemini reading. I just heard the word Capricorn loud and clear in my brain, and it turned into this most awesome bird story. You need, if you're intrigued to even me talking about a bird story, you might want to check out the Capricorn reading from last week, and I'll explain everything in there. Okay, wow, you're turning the page in love. There's something going on here at Gemini, and I think that cake, I didn't say cake, I just have that analogy in my head because I use that analogy so often. So when I say number 7, I use a cake story. So the cake story is about putting the perfect ingredients together, putting it in the oven, waiting for it to be ready, and now it's ready. It's like it's time to take it out and it's time to have it. It's time to enjoy it. There's something here though, like just the overall here, when I'm looking at your pictures, is that I feel like you're turning the page on something. You're moving forward, you're moving on, This means that for some of you Geminis, you might be leaving a relationship. It's like you've been thinking about... Yeah, there's two very different stories coming out. And I think the significance is that one is for committed and one is for singles. But take it however, because it feels like there's something in it for every Gemini, even though I talk about specifically being in a committed relationship or specifically being single. But this first card out, and I do apologize, it reverses the camera reverses the images. But just trust me when I say Page of Ariel is what it says here. Ariel is my love angel. She comes with love, and Page is all about turning a page, turning the page to something new. Like you've been, and this is where the stories divide. It's like there's two stories coming through very clearly. One story is that, and I think it's for committed. If you've been in a committed relationship and you've been there for a while, it's not 6 months old or something like that. I feel like you've been there for a while. You're turning the page, which means some of you guys have been thinking for a while if you're gonna leave this relationship. Is like, can we really make it work? Is there really anything more for me in here? Is it like it's like you've been going back and forth, and I think you have been going back and forth. There's a lot of been there. I want to continue to use a while, like that expression that is not reason that you've been with this person, and it's not reason that you thought about maybe not being with this person, and it's not reason that you have. I do apologize if you hear there's some guys that say here nothing wrong, they're just talking really loud. I think that one of them is partly deaf, because he keeps yelling what every other. So maybe that's you guys. It's like one is trying to talk and the other one can't hear you, or vice versa, or you try to make sense of something and it doesn't make sense, and it's like it doesn't click anymore. There's something to this that you've been thinking for a while about leaving this relationship, or rather thinking about, is there something for me to stay? Like you really have tried it out. So turning the page of love, I feel like this might be the moment where you decide you want to move on. And then it's interesting because I don't see any type of movement. It's like it's almost like you're tasting it. It's almost like you're trying it on, like you try it on in your mind, to try it on as a sweater to see if it fits to leave this relationship. But you haven't had, I don't want to sound harsh, but you haven't had the guts to really sit down and talk about it with your partner, or really have the talk that you want to leave, unless you can do something different about it. It's like you gathered enough, because this is my card for collecting information. You're standing in the library where you get all the information you read up on and it's not like you literally read up in any books about how to leave a relationship, but this is like you gathered enough information. It's like you haven't just up and left just like that. And I think it's not my place to even have a comment about it, but I think I think that's staying. I think it's a good thing to leave. It's such a different story. If you're leaving a relationship based on everything sucks, and you're feeling really depressed and you're feeling really low, you're basically just taking that vibration with you into the next relationship. But if you're Gemini, if you're feeling good, if you're overall feeling good about yourself, if you feel like you have a purpose when you get up in the morning, you feel like your day is a blessing, you're out and about, like however you're, like, you don't have to be out and about, but you feel like you're content, you feel like you're satisfied overall with yourself and with your life. And from that standpoint, you still feel a pull to not be in this relationship. That's the perfect time to go. If you're still getting the insight, or your intuition is telling you there's no more here for us, like it's the end of the road, and you're being inspired to go elsewhere. It's like it's so good to go elsewhere from being on top, like coming out victorious, rather than leaving because this sucks. Because leaving because it sucks, you're just taking the sucks with you and attracting, unless you do a really good job about yourself. That's why I try to sort of recommend to be at a good place, feel good about yourself before you end something. And it feels like you've really thought this through, Gemini. And so you reach this place where you just, we're turning the page here now, and I think I want to move on. But like I said, I don't feel like you've had the talk yet with your partner about it. I don't think that they're going to be blindsided, because they're not feeling it either. It's just that it has become, you're accustomed to each other. It has become quite convenient. Don't you love convenient relationships? They suck. But I get it. Like, I get why you stay there. It's comfortable. You know what you have, and you don't know what you will have. So, of course, I just think that you need every information that you need in order to make a choice. And it's just a matter of timing now. The other story I get from this, when turning the page in love, is just, if you've been single for a while, Gemini, I feel like you're turning the page, you're turning the page in love is like you're moving on. There's like a, okay, let's do this now. I've been in this, it doesn't necessarily have to be stagnant because you're single. It's interesting how many people think that, like, I've been single for a while now, and it is quite the joy. And I just want to say that I'm not trying to say that the perfect situation here is to be in a relationship. That's not what I'm saying. But I think most of you people coming to this reading wants to know about love interest. And so therefore you're interested in a relationship. And I think for the most Geminis that are drawn to this specific reading, I think you're done with being single. I think you're feeling or getting the hunch or getting the insight to move on. Like you now have come to your end days of being single. And for some of you guys, that's going to be a blessing, because it's like, get me out of the singlehood now. I really, really want to meet that person. Then maybe just do a tiny bit more exercises or just be with yourself a bit more, so that you're so happy and content on your own. Because when you're happy and content on your own, you're going to attract somebody that's really happy and content with themselves. And then you're two happy and content people together, rather than attracting somebody else that's also frustrated because they're looking for that person to fill their void. It doesn't work. So I feel like for some of you single Geminis, you're just really happy to meet that person. And for some of you other people, is not the end of the world, but it's so beautiful when it happens. And that's the perfect place to be in when you attract this person. And I think it's time. You gathered enough information as a single person. You know exactly what you're seeking in another, and you feel like you don't want to be single anymore. And it's I feel like this pull, I feel like this inspiration has made its way to you, maybe through dreams, maybe through just little signs and synchronicities that has started to appear recently, that has made you think of another person, think of joining forces with somebody. Okay. And then we have number 4 coming out. So, and 4 is all about the heart matter. It's laying a new foundation. And the first is the Emperor. And I just love the Emperor. The Emperor is just it's just very solid and stable. And it's a really trustworthy energy. And I think you've reached this place, Gemini, where you're sitting there on your throne and you're feeling really good about yourself. It's almost like a Gemini card, because when I get this card, I usually say you might be dealing with a Gemini, and you might, Gemini, there might be another Gemini in your life, or you just yourself are a very strong Gemini, if that makes sense. Like, you can have many different I think it's quite interesting if you really look into your birth chart and see if you sort of step away from just the sun sign. So Gemini, you are the sun sign. The sun is shining on you. The sun sign of Gemini, but then you have the moon in another maybe, and the Venus and Mars and Mercury and all these different, which really makes up for the complex person that you are. Not just being a Gemini. And so for some of you, I feel like if you go further down that chart and you see what signs you have in these different planets, I think you will find a lot of Gemini. I think you probably are a very strong Gemini. I feel a lot of Virgo as well. Anyway, there's something about being ready. You're so ready for this next step. I think up until this point, maybe you weren't so ready. And there's very much two of everything. That's why I say Gemini. It's like, it's a strong, whatever you call those. Kruka, I would say in Swedish. Crake. What is that called in English? I'm not going to think about it. You know what I mean? You put flowers in it. Pot. Huge ones though, but they're very stable, like rock solid, stable, stone, cement. And then there's two of these little foundations that you're sitting on. Like it looks almost like you're floating in the air, but some way, somehow you're connected into the ground where it's very solid, laying a new foundation for yourself. And it's almost like the stronger foundation you have, both internally and in your surroundings. So if you feel like you're very solid in your foundation, you can sort of float away as much as you want. You can be really lucid in your thinking, and you can be a bit wishy-washy as much as you want, because the foundation is really, really awesome. And I think you reach this place, if that is financially for you, if that is emotionally, if that is spiritually, if that is health-wise, I feel like there's a very stable, it's almost like whatever's going on in your life, if you were to ask you, Gemini, right now, like how's life, you would say it's really stable, it's really good. Well, it's that thing that I'm dealing with, that's really crazy, but it's like you still have that feeling that it's very solid. And to come from that place will only bring more solid things, and definitely this solid relationship. And so for you guys who are in a committed relationship and you're thinking about leaving, I see you as already single. It's interesting because I can't find your partner here. It's almost like you already left them energy-wise, but you haven't left them physically, if that makes sense. You're still under the same roof. You might still share a lot of things, even sharing the bed. But you've left them energetically. I hope that makes sense. And for you single guys, I feel like this is like you're shining your light. It's almost like you're having this beacon of light there, and it's sort of sending a signal to your partner that you're ready for them, and they're hearing the call. Like I think that you both are hearing each other, and you're sort of slowly are. This is why it's so interesting. This is why I say she yelled. That's why I say it feels like listen to both stories here, because it feels almost like they're intertwined. Like the committed is like a single, and the single is like a committed, because it feels almost like the committed story is about you're actually not committed anymore. You're single in your energy, but you're physically still there. And for the single, it feels like, yes, you're physically single, but energetically you're already connected in with your person. So it's like, it's really interesting. Maybe you should just swap partners with each other. There's no partners to swap with, but like place with each other. And then it's a purple border. So I think you really have grown a lot spiritually lately, which just means you've opened up to listen more into the details, to maybe say, okay, maybe there is something to this. you sense something and you act on it, and when you act on it you actually get beautiful feedback, or you just really understand. I think you know what I mean. And then we have 4 of Raphael, and so that's the second 4. So you might be seeing a lot of 4s around you, 44, 444, stuff like that. Just things being in alignment. 4 of Raphael, and this is like a feeling of, it feels a bit dry. It feels like she's sitting there on dry land. The water is so close, she can smell it, taste it, hear it. It just means that like the relationship, if you're in a committed relationship, it has run dry. It's almost like you feel that feeling of, we've exchanged the information that we were supposed to exchange with each other in this lifetime, at least for now. You never know, like you never know, but at least for now it feels like it's the end here. We've reached the end here, and you're listening in. I mean, those seashells, huge seashells, are talking about like how there's a story there. It's not a secret, but there's a story that you're listening in after. It's like you want answers, you want to hear, you want to have a clear message about what to do. But Gemini, you already know what to do. You don't have to listen anymore. That's like a done deal. I think you know what to do. The rest is just all about timing. And it just shows me here that the relationship has run dry. It's ebb in the relationship. And if you were really down and out, and if you were really depressed, Gemini, I would say the information or the message would be, wait until you're back on top again. Wait until you feel better, and then feel if you still want to leave the relationship, because then if you do, it's the right thing to do. When you're down and out, or when you feel off, or when you're a bit more in the negative vibe, you're just going to attract more negative stuff naturally. And so it's not really an honest way to depart a relationship, because you don't really honestly know. That's why some people sort of keep going back and forth with each other, because they're breaking apart when they feel their worst, and then they rise to a better place, and then they feel drawn back there, and they go back, and then they start to argue again, and they feel lower, and then they split up, and you raise your vibration and it's good again. So if you just take the time to do that work while you're still in the relationship, and you still feel like you want to know it's the end here, then it's the right thing to do. And you will feel good about departuring the relationship. And then again, it's like we're swapping it around. This is like you've been single for a while, and you've been hearing the calling, you've been hearing the story from the seashells. And the story is about this person behind here, this person that is about to come in, which now all of a sudden looks like flow. There's like ebb if you're committed, and then it's flow if you're single. So this huge like water wave with this person, and obviously this could be a woman as well. This person is now coming in, but you're feeling the essence of them, is what I feel. The essence has started to come in. You might dream about them, you might think about them, you might think you just have you might think that you're just fantasizing, having wishful thinking about meeting this person because you don't know who they are. But that's actually you picking up their energy. You don't have to believe that. You just keep dreaming. You just keep fantasizing, and you will see what happens. Okay, I'm going to take this into the extended and see what else I can find there about this story, about this love story. And if you're interested in that, the link is in the description box down below. If not, then thank you so much for watching. Go check out the Capricorn reading if you feel like that resonates with you. It's a bird story. Otherwise, take care, and I hope to see you soon.